Episode is definitely going to spark some conversations because we're diving into the name that you all know, Elon Musk.
Get your popcorn ready, everybody. I'm getting mine.
With me is my lovely co-host, Sam Levy. So now, love him or hate him, there's no denying that Elon Musk's fingerprints are all over modern society and innovation. We're talking about Tesla, SpaceX, Twitter, X, and even more. But behind the shiny futuristic surface of this tech mogul, there's a storm brewing. Some say that the man is corrupt. We're talking about a tech billionaire whose companies have come under fire for a variety of questionable allegations. So exactly what's going on? Well, a growing number of critics are accusing Musk of using his wealth, his influence to sway regulations, manipulate markets, and even silence dissent. And is the tech world's so-called visionary really just a master of manipulation?
I think one of the funniest things in recent tweets was, who was it? Grimes begging for his attention because their child needed help on social media. It's dad. That's bad. That's bad.
He wouldn't answer her phone call. She asked for somebody or his team to reply to her because their child needs some kind
of... one of your 14 children needs serious medical care, and you're like, is he a tech visionary? Probably. Has he invented a lot of amazing technological companies that have changed the way we do business, the way we interact with each other? Yes, unquestionably. Did he buy Twitter? Yes. I don't know. I've never been on Twitter in my life. X now, or whatever it's called. So I couldn't tell you whether it's better or worse under his supervision. What I do know is that he has been appointed a senior advisor to the president that neither the public or the Senate has voted or approved of. This is not the first time in American politics that that's happened. But every time that does, it usually leads to disaster. So I'm kind of waiting to see what when the shoe is going to drop. And it already has. First of all, DOGE, the newly minted Department of Governmental Efficiency, laying off people left and right, accidentally firing the people who hold the keys to the nukes, then scrambling. I mean, essentially, it does seem like he had the keys to the kingdom for Trump to get reelected the second time. I don't know whose votes he had.
I do want to hit on, you talked about Twitter and how gave him the keys to being elected.
Yes.
There's a lot of controversy surrounding his Twitter acquisition. The way that Musk used his massive influence to manipulate the public and push back against fact checking on Twitter and controlling narratives. He does have an all access pass to our government right now, and he's still tweeting consistently, which, I mean, I know it's a matter of opinion, but is that professional, or is that to keep to in real time before they're even approved by Congress? There's a lot of ignoring the rules. He's not vetted. Using your platform as a political tool and buying those who disagree with him, and the erratic behavior on social media. I mean, he's at a conference for, what is it, conservative, I forgot what it was called, and he comes up with a chainsaw. Again, people can do what they want. I agree. People can vote in people who they want. I know there's a constant change in what is normal behavior, but I think that politicians, and he's not even a politician, certain behavior that if we were to come out at a work event with a chainsaw and we didn't sell chainsaws, or we weren't in that business, waving a chainsaw, tweeting about our work 24/7, I think that there would be a lot of meetings had about our behavior on the job.
You would be fired.
Yes, and I would think that the American people would be worried about this, but I know that there is quite a few amount that think they love this rule-breaking behavior. I think that's what attracts people to like President Trump and Elon. They're not following the rules. They refuse to follow the rules. And there's a certain amount of people in the country that think that that is what's strong. Rules are there to protect us. And if we ignore all the precautions, then people die. And they're ignoring all the precautions. And there is a certain, and especially Elon. Elon is not vetted by the Senate. He's not vetted by anybody except for Donald Trump. And people in power, no matter what, even if you are very easily persuaded by yes men, and if they're around nothing but yes men, that's very detrimental to your critical thinking. And these firing of people through email. I mean, I guess I get it. Your boss can send you a questionnaire that you don't do, and if you don't do what they say, they can fire you. But he's not the boss of anybody in the government. So him sending emails that they have to respond to, which I guess I should explain that. He has sent an email to all the federal workers that are of a certain thing to send bulletins of what they accomplished that year. And if they don't, then that is their sign of resignation, which that's toxic work environment, which I know people want the part, and I know not to get so controversial or a conspiracy theory, that is a part of Project 2025, that they will make a, the plan is to make the federal government work environment so toxic that only loyalists want to work there, that no one that legitimately cares about making a difference and just doing what Trump and Elon want to do. That's the whole point. If you like people of substance, people who care about the country and care about the well-being of all of us as a whole, not just certain people that fall into a certain thing, will quit. And you will just have left loyalists to Trump. Which, if you're surrounded by yes men, like I said, if you ignore all the guardrails, people will die. What, like about this, why don't you talk about the Social Security thing that he just talked about, if you don't mind?
The notion that Elon Musk claims that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, and first of all, it's not. It's something that the American taxpayers pay into, so it's not an entitlement that we get for nothing. It's a service that we're paying for, that we expect to reap when we are no longer physically able to work and earn income to take care of ourselves and pay our bills. Would say that is somebody who would never have to rely on it because they don't understand the value. They don't even pay for most of it. Nothing gets taxed over $176,000 worth of income. So people are already freaking out about it. They're already saying that the effects are going to come fast and hard.
Well, I was listening to Pod Save America, and they were talking about that we could actually pay for Social Security if we did tax people over that make over $176,000 on that income. That Social Security would be safe for at least 75 more years if we did that just right now. Now, I want to talk about this. People are going to be like, "That's their money; they don't have to." My whole I don't understand this concept. Yes, they don't need it, so it's like, why do you pay into it?
Exactly.
And you hoard that kind of money. And this is just my opinion. I know that you don't really get that rich without cheating somebody. You're not paying somebody correctly. You are hoarding something. That's my belief. And a lot of people have said there's no such thing as a natural billionaire. You're cheating somebody. You're not paying your taxes. Or we've created that by payouts, or like you look a blind eye in this. If we taxed everybody, because they're not taxed the same as we are. My whole income is taxed for Social Security, and I know that they'll rationalize it by saying, "But you're going to need Social Security." Okay, but I help pay for the government. I help pay for Elon's stuff because I am a consumer. So they're dependent on me, and I don't think that people should be that rich and not give back to society that we helped put you there. Now, if we didn't help put you there and the government helped put you there, that's some unfair trading. That's some unfair treatment going on there, in my opinion. I don't want to, I don't know what really goes on. Like I can only have a small window of what I'm allotted to know.
You pinko commie.
But it wouldn't matter. They talked about how if you actually did tax those people on that money, they would not really be any poorer. It's so much money on that those people have. But just think about it. Even normal people that probably make, like, I know people are worried about it. Kamala Harris, hers was that you wouldn't get an extra tax unless you made over $450,000. And that's a lot of money. I know that that's it. But we're not even taxing like upper middle class people on Social Security like over $176,000. But after a certain amount, that's not taxed.
And $176,000 is not what it used to be.
It's not. It's firing 7,000 employees of the Social Security system, and it already is not functioning as well as it should. So if you take away 7,000 workers, people are not going to get their checks. People are not going to get their checks on time. What happens if somebody misses a month because there's not enough people approving and doing things, and our grandparents and our parents cannot get their medicine that month? What if they can't pay for what they need? And then this is not a smart decision politically either. You're less likely to have approval, or your rating will go down. This feels like people just doing things to break things. And I find it scary. I find it very scary for my parents who, and they voted for this, but I don't think that will really think about what's going on because they don't think it will ever affect them. And here we are, we have so many things happening that's going to affect everybody.
One of the main reasons why we started this show was because of issues that people don't think really affect them, but actually do, because all issues affect everybody living in this country. So no matter what you are, you think racism, it doesn't affect you personally until it does. No, racism is a problem that affects everybody. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things. That's why we started to do this. There's just so much that's going on with this that's not right. In addition to everything else, what's happening with the IRS right now, people are telling you to file your taxes early because if you are due refunds, you may not get them for months and months and months because of Doge slicing through governmental structures. He's given the keys to like to everything to like these 19-year-old hackers, like 19 years old, and they're going through all the security files and going through everything as part of the whole like Department of Governmental Efficiency, who's staying, who's going.
One thing I want to talk about though is that what they're cutting, what Elon Musk is just going through like an auditor and thinking we could, because I know they want to have tax cuts on the rich and they have to pay for it because we have all pay taxes, right? So if we're cutting, I know I'm just talking about the world, us being the people that can help the world, prevent diseases and stuff, those diseases will find their way to America. No matter what you do, unless like you shut all borders and we can't go anywhere, but then that means there's no trade, and that means that the whole world just stops as it is and we become something else, all because we don't want to eradicate diseases that affect all of us. As the world, we have a world economy now too as well. So we want to let people, we cut off the funding. We don't help these children anymore. We don't help any of these people. It's just too late. That's you're a whole month behind now if they miss doses. And people will die from that. And we're at fault for that. But again, we as people are paying for these services. If we're taking away all these services, but my taxes are not going to change. Actually, my taxes are going to go up so rich people's can go down, or the wealthies can go down, according to this new tax plan. So what am I getting from my taxes? What am I getting if I'm not, because you're going to take away part of the Social Security, like the people working there, and making things go more efficient, even though they're not as efficient, even with those extra 7,000. What are we going to get? You're cutting all these programs, USAID that helps people, that helps make the world a safer place for when we travel and stuff. I mean, I know it's just not about being selfish, but we're creating a safer world, and I think that we should be proud as Americans. I know people are saying we have to help. We have a lot of programs here that are funded, that they're cutting, that help us. It's not really an access problem, I find, in my opinion. I think it's an educational problem. We need to do a better job before they're gone of letting people know that we have the programs to help each other, or we could revamp the programs so they work better instead of getting rid of everything and having nothing and still paying the same taxes.
Yeah.
I know that was a long rant. I apologize.
No, please. Are you kidding me? No, I appreciate this. And I feel like one of the reasons they're doing this is they're using individual examples of people scamming the system to essentially throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh, if like a few, like, and obviously they're always blaming like people on welfare. They're blaming like 4 people on welfare, like, like scamming the system. And as a result of that, it's, this entire thing is a scam and it's a Ponzi scheme, and it needs to be cut out, and it's un-American and it's unpatriotic. But like you said, we fund a lot of these services are paid for by the government to create safety nets and to provide services that a lot of people need who don't have the financial means to afford it on their own were it not for this. So it's bad. And right now our taxpayers are going to Doge.
And
it's bad. It's bad, man.
It's just scary because, we do have a lot of programs that help people. I mean, you can get PrEP for free here. I don't know if they're touching that here, like where it's HIV prevention. You can get that medication through certain clinics for free. It's just a lot of things that are just scary to me because I don't know why we don't, because there's a lot of studies that go on, like they were on the verge of having this has become like a episode about HIV, but they were on the verge of developing an HIV vaccine, which is what gave us the COVID vaccine, because it was the research from the COVID vaccine that they put a lot of money in, or for the HIV vaccine, they put a lot of money in and switched gears to COVID. So all of that goes away. All of that incentive for helping goes away. So we don't have new medications. We don't have, which is so weird because Elon Musk is the king of innovation, but we're killing with cutting these programs. And I'm not saying that that's his intent. I'm not saying that it's just some conspiracy theory where he's I want to make the world worse. But I think the problem is that when you have people Elon is another rich person, that they don't live a life like us, right? They've always been rich, or they've drank the Kool-Aid. They don't have our point of view, so they're like, why do we need these programs? I don't need this. And I know that it's probably less simple than that, but when people can't relate to what they're making decisions on, then it's time for somebody else, or it needs to go to somebody else who can kind of relate to that. So you have the super rich making decisions for the super poor, and they're never going to see eye to eye. But we as a society have, for some reason, we hate the poor and idolize the rich, but people who are on these programs, the welfare programs that people complain about, they don't really get to make decisions like people who have money do. They don't get to pick what doctor they go to. They don't get to pick, necessarily exactly where they live. They don't get to have the best help. They get what's given to them, and things that are assisted is not as good as stuff that you can buy, you can throw money at to make a decision. You don't get to make decisions. You go where the coverage is given. I don't understand why people are vilifying that.
Most people, yeah. Most people, I feel like most people are absolutely willing to work. Wanting to work is something else. I don't know if I would put about wanting to work, because you work for too long and it's like, oh man. But no, willing to work. Most people are absolutely willing to work, because it is just as frustrating as it can be day to day. It's just better, and as draining as it is, you do feel better about yourself when you're taking care of yourself than when somebody else is taking care of you. So I really, really reject the notion that they're just there some people, really lazy people out there who don't want to do anything. Yeah, but it's not. But the majority of people who are in that situation are not really like that. And a lot of people like that are just passing through and need a temporary safety net until they get back on their feet. So.
And also, we should not bail out companies that their full-time employees have to have government assistance. So why are we bailing out companies or getting all these tax credits on people who don't pay their workers enough where they don't have to be on government assistance? If they're not paying people a living wage to work full-time, then what are you doing? You're getting to pocket, we have to fund the worker, we have to fund you. What, you're not successful, you need to, that's probably a while.
How do you really feel? Yeah.
I don't ever think, I just don't, if you have all the money in the world and you want more,
yeah, wasn't there something about, didn't Musk at one point ask how much it would cost to end world hunger? And
he could do it. The 8 most richest people in the world, or 8 richest people in the world, could end world hunger and still be the richest people in the world. But because why? They need to work, right? They have to help themselves. But if you also, again, that's how the economy works. If you hoard all the money, it has to circulate. Trickle down economics do not work.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't believe in telling people how much money they can or can't have, but there is a certain income area that most people fall within and are able to relate to other people. If you are too far above, if you're so wealthy, it's like other people become like toys for you.
Yeah.
And if you are so poor that you're scrambling, you'll resort to crime in order to, in order to feed yourself. So
and once you're convicted of a certain crime, you can't get a job.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't work to make yourself, independent.
Yeah.
So you start doing illegal things that you did before and go back to jail. Also, I don't, and,
So that's something else that has to be,
unless you're a rich criminal, then you could buy into the government and then have the government pay you for these government contracts to use vehicles, to use Starlink, to ooh. So is it a conflict of interest that somebody is not necessarily vetted to work for the government, but is working for the government and is making decisions about their pay for the government because they have all these government contracts? It's a conflict of interest, like state employees.
Yes. The answer to your question is yes.
Oh, Elon. And we're just like, yeah, give us more. It's a show. And I think that that's where the disconnect comes. It's so ridiculous that we as American people, it doesn't feel real to us because we live on the other end and it feels like a show. It feels like it shouldn't be happening. It's not happening. It's like not real. It's not really happening. It's just talk. But now they're putting it on Twitter, what they're doing. And I don't know, that there's a disconnect of the guardrails are just off now, and we're like,
yeah, it's literally almost becoming like America's Survivor. Like it's becoming a reality show. They're being televised in a way that they have never been before, which should be a good thing, at least in some way, because it should suggest a level of transparency that's never really been available to the American public before. The problem is that President Trump is more than anything else, he's a showman. He knows what he's doing in that regard. So, and that's really what people loved about Trump, or his supporters. They thought that he was telling the truth. He was certainly saying things that many of them were thinking, but a lot of people were afraid to say out loud. But what it really was is that he was, shockingly, it's because he was unscripted. That's why when he ran, so many other politicians have their speeches written out for them. They give these very canned, professional, like smooth, like answers to everything, all these questions. And a lot of them just like kind of like run around and non-answers. And he would literally just say anything he wanted to say. And at a base level, a lot of people respect somebody like that because they respect someone who sounds like he's making his own decisions and isn't a puppet and being told what to do by somebody else. And so, well, I know. No. I know.
Not in this country.
I know. Right. I hear you.
That's a different
I get it. I'm thinking it too. But
after so many years of watching it, like I feel like it's very, very effective in the beginning. But when everybody else is at fault, even when you are doing all this stuff, it becomes it gets tiresome. But people don't pay attention that close. I hyperly pay attention. And I'm like, this is just silly. I've actually worked with somebody that did word salad all the time. And it sounds good at first if you're not around them a lot. A lot of people say a lot of things that don't mean anything. And you're just like, if you know what it means, you're just like, eventually you're just like, they didn't say anything. They just said words. They didn't say anything constructive at all.
And one of my favorite comebacks in any movies is a movie called Save the Last Dance, where Julia Stiles says to this kid, you talk a lot of shit for someone who never says anything. And I think about that a lot when some of these people that we're talking about are speaking.
In the end, I want to say this, like, because I know we've been going on for a little while now. I do believe that there's things that can be repaired. I do think that government efficiency is important. We have to determine as a society that we don't want to just have the sensationalism, that we have to become that we're actually a good country that is generally transparent. And I was actually quite proud, like when you do the research, that we were helping all these people all over the world. And we do help our own people as well. I just think that we didn't do a good job advertising. I think that we have failed as a society of making sure that people had the access that was already there, and that not making those programs stronger. And what we're doing is we're just burning everything down, and we don't go by the guardrails that have been there for a long time, because people think that it's not working because they're not shown that it's working. And I do think that our government has They have blame because they should be showing us that it could be better, instead of being like, no, everybody's the enemy. This is not constructive. What's happening? It's not constructive what Doge is doing, and I think we have somebody who.
No, it should be, but it's not.
Yeah, and we have someone like Elon Musk who can never relate to the average American, sadly, because they just can't, and is making decisions based on his experience because he's never been in politics. He doesn't understand.
Did you just refer to Elon as a they them? Did I mishear that?
I am not going to pronoun him.
Okay.
This show made you mad. I really hope that this show makes you want to actually research things and not just listen to word of mouth, to actually listen to people who have different opinions than you, and to actually be scared. I know that I've been
fearmonger.
Yes, I have been called a fearmonger. Comment on the video. Tell me I'm stupid. Yeah. Tell me I'm just some kind of dumb liberal.
Yeah.
I don't care, but at least you watched and I made you think.
More than anything else, videos like this, we make this to get you to be more curious about what's really happening, to really pay attention, to read the news.
Oh, so now that we've scared the living daylights out of you, I hope you have a good evening.
Yeah,
yeah. No, I hope everybody.
No, actually, no, he meant that. He meant every word of that.
No, I hope everybody is okay. I hope nothing bad happens. I hope that I am just a fearmonger and I'm overreacting. I hope all of that. But if not, please, please, please stay informed, and please, please, please pay attention. This is not the time.
We all want you to be happy and healthy and successful and prosperous in your own lives, but you should be scared shitless right now. This is the point.
And also, a lot of people have told me that I shouldn't be so vocal. A lot of people have messaged me and told me I need to bury my head in the sand and just get through it. It is not the time for that. This is why we are in the predicament we are in, because people don't care and people just bury their head in the sand and say, I'll just get through it. If you don't care, if you're not informed, if you don't vote, the extremists will. And the people that, the everyday people won't, the extremists will. And I may be an extremist on the other end, but if it'll make you think and if it'll make you be more aware, then that's fine. And with that, I want to say good night and thank you for watching. Bye.
Good night, all. Thank you.